What's up, everybody? Good morning. I am Dave Ettinger, your host of the DaveTalksSports podcast, and welcome to episode number 2. It is Tuesday morning, June 26th at 6:20 a.m. Like I told you yesterday morning, you're going to be joining me every morning on my commute home from work. I work at CBS Sports Radio Network. I work overnight. And this is the time that I get off, somewhere between 6:15, 6:30, 6:45. And I drive home to Long Island from Manhattan. So you guys can be joining me on my commute every morning. And I'm going to be talking about anything and everything that's going on in the world of sports. And anything that you guys want to talk about. Because as we get this channel going, it's a podcast. It's going to be on YouTube, my Dave Talk Sports YouTube channel. You're going to find it on all social media platforms. Twitter, I'm at Dave Ettinger 2. On Facebook, on Instagram, you're going to find it everywhere. So I'm going to set you up with all the links and everywhere you need to find it. And, like I said, you got to bear with me because I'm driving home. So every once in a while, you get people crossing the street in the city. They might have 4 coffees in their hand like that guy just had. I got a yellow cab with his brights on at 6:20 in the morning following me. So that's always fun. So if I need a brief pause to, make sure we get home safely, that may happen. But today we're going to be talking a little bit more about the Yankees. I know we talked about them yesterday morning, but they're breaking records. They're winning game after game after game. And we have to talk about them. It's not just because I'm a Yankee fan. They are a storyline. They are a headline. We have to talk about the New York Yankees. Also, NBA free agency. It's the biggest story, really, that's going on until football starts. So I got to give you all my thoughts, all my opinions on who's going where, what's going to happen in the coming days here. You are just 4 days, count them, 4, just 4 days away from the beginning of NBA free agency. Now, it's a very convoluted system, like a lot of things in the NBA. Their contracts are weird. Their salary cap policies are weird. There's a lot to unravel and try to make sense of what happens in the NBA. So first of all, you have what used to be July 1st at midnight has now become June 30th at 6 p.m. I guess they wanted people to have those extra 6 hours during the day, and instead of moving it forward, they wanted to move it back, so there's more time for people to dive right into free agency, talk about what's going on, who's signing here, who's going where, who's being signed and traded there, and all the happenings in the NBA. So yes, June 30th, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's when you're going to actually see free agents. They can't officially sign their contracts. Like I said, things get convoluted. It's very weird. But you get what's called the legal tampering period. I think it's one of the dumbest terms in sports, but that's what they call it. So between June 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and July 6th, you have basically a week for players to commit verbally to places that they're going to sign. Now, we've seen this backfire in recent years where DeAndre Jordan, who actually agreed to sign for, I believe it was $80 million, $80 or $90 million with the Dallas Mavericks, and a day or 2 days later, I forget exactly how long it was, turned a complete about-face and locked himself in his house. His mother was answering the door for him, and people were coming to town, trying to convince him to stay with his current team, to stay with the Clippers, or to actually decide to do what he said and go play for the Mavericks. And he ended up doing an about-face. So that verbal agreement, rip it up, throw it out the window. It meant absolutely nothing. And that's why I really don't like this legal tampering period. Because the Mavericks in that spot were really relying on DeAndre Jordan at the time. And then he just up and just left and just said, you know what, I had a change of heart. All right, so you have that legal tampering period of approximately a week, where most deals are set in stone for the most part. But again, on the rare occurrence, someone can change their mind. So, this is a big year in free agency in the NBA. You have the likes of Kevin Durant, who arguably before rupturing his Achilles is the best player in the world right now. He hasn't officially opted out yet of his 1-year player option that's left on his contract with the Golden State Warriors. The world is assuming that he's going to do that, but until he actually does, we don't know if he's going to be eligible in free agency or if he's going to stick around in Golden State for one more year and get paid $31 million, which is going to be owed to just rehab. So he has to make that decision in the next 3 to 4 days. So we're going to find out what the deal is with that. I'm assuming he's going to opt out because despite the really tragic injury, well, not tragic, tragic's not the right word. It's just a devastating injury and rupturing his Achilles. Most players, especially on the other side of 30, are not the same after you rupture your Achilles. But all that being said, I still think he's going to get 4-year max contract offers from other teams. And there's the odd chance that the Warriors sign and trade him. There's a rumor out there that may happen. Yeah, I don't think they're doing that. But again, anything's possible in this time frame. So, Kevin Durant, he's been connected to my favorite team, the New York Knicks. Now, as a Knicks fan my whole life, I am assuming that nobody's coming to play for the Knicks. Nobody real. All right, in free agency. There's been a lot of players rumored to be coming here. You've heard the likes of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, maybe Kemba Walker. Pretty good players potentially coming to play for the Knicks. I've been saying this for weeks. I'll say it again here. I'll believe it when I see it. All right, I've been a Knicks fan for too long. This reminds me of 2010 when we had the decision of LeBron James. Where's he going? All right, is he coming to New York? Is he staying in Cleveland? Is he going to Miami? We all know what happened. He made the decision, brought his talents to South Beach, and that was the end of that story. So what did the Knicks do? Instead of rolling over all that money that they had in salary cap space to the next year, hoping to get a really good free agent, they spent it. Not only did they spend it, they basically wasted it in signing Amari Stoudemire to a $100 million contract. That was a terrible deal. So that's what happens, though, when you miss out on those top-tier free agents. Like if the Knicks swing and miss this year on Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard and even Kyrie Irving and all these other guys, if you swing and miss completely, then what do? Do you sign second-tier guys like Tobias Harris, Nikola Vucevic, guys that are nice players, but they're not top-tier game changers in free agency? I wouldn't do that. Now, it's also been rumored for the Knicks that if they miss on Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and Kyrie Irving, they swing and miss, that they are going to roll over that money into free agency the next year. And I think that would be really, really smart. You could sign 1-year contracts, kind of like what the Lakers did this past year with guys like Rajon Rondo, Michael Beasley, JaVale McGee, all these guys who signed 1-year contracts, and roll the money over to the next year. That would be really smart because they've got a lot of money to spend. And I really don't want to see them as a 40 to 45 win team every single year, stuck between the 8 seed, potentially not making the playoffs, maybe being a 6 seed, but getting bounced in the first or second round of the playoffs. Yes, a playoff appearance for the Knicks would be really nice, but I'd like to see them compete for a championship for sustainability. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for them to compete for 5 to 10 or more years, kind of like we've seen with the Warriors. Now, it has to be a combination of building through the draft as well as, signing the right free agents. Again, don't swing and miss on Kevin Durant and then sign Tobias Harris to a 4-year deal. Or Al Horford, who's reportedly going to get 4 years, $100 million in this free agency period. Don't do that. Just roll that money over and save it. So, a lot of people are saying Kevin Durant's actually going to come and sign for the Knicks, play for the Knicks. Again, I'll believe that when I see it. I'm sorry. I don't think it's happening. I would still offer him the money. I'd offer him whatever he wants. I don't care that he has a ruptured Achilles, because 80% of Kevin Durant is better than anything the Knicks have ever had. All right, maybe not ever, but since Patrick Ewing, right? So the next name up in free agency is Kawhi Leonard. You know Kawhi Leonard. You know what he just did. He went up to Toronto, forced his way out of San Antonio, won a championship. Guy's the real deal. Guy's a superstar. And you're going to hear this here first. You haven't heard this anywhere else, because this is not a rumor that's out there anywhere. In my opinion, Kawhi Leonard will be wearing a New York Knicks uniform next season. Let that sink in. I'm going to say it again. Kawhi Leonard, the Claw, the man with the biggest hands we've ever seen in the history of the world, one of the best defensive players in the world, and one of the top 5 players in the league, hands down, just won the championship in Toronto, is going to jump ship. He's not going to stay in Toronto. He's going to sign with the New York Knicks. Now, some of you are probably saying, well, you're just a Knicks fan who just really wants a real player to come here. Well, of course I do. But I am also giving you my true and honest opinion. This is what I think. This is actually what I think is going to happen. Again, the Knicks, just like they always have, can swing and miss in free agency and end up with absolutely nobody. But I'm calling it. You heard it here first on the Dave Talk Sports podcast. Kawhi Leonard coming to the Knicks. Now, I don't know who's coming with him. I just think that Kawhi Leonard is a guy who doesn't really care that much about the media or what people think of him. I think the guy just wants to win and continue building his legacy. Now you say, well, winning in New York, they're not a good team. Well, you add Kawhi Leonard to any team, they become a good team. He is that good. Toronto doesn't have a second superstar. They have a bunch of good players, good depth. Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry. They brought in Marc Gasol. They had Danny Green, who came along with Kawhi Leonard in the trade. Fred VanVleet even hitting a bunch of threes. They had depth. Serge Ibaka even coming off their bench. So it was a deep team. But he's the only superstar on that team. So put Kawhi Leonard on the Knicks. I don't care who else is there. They're going to the playoffs. And if you bring in another real free agent like a Kemba Walker or a Kyrie Irving, then you're talking about getting out of the East. And that's a definite possibility. That can happen. So you heard it here first. Kawhi Leonard will be a New York Knickerbocker next season. Kyrie Irving, all right, if he's your number 2 guy, I'll take him. I don't care about the head case or he's an issue or he's a problem. I care about the injuries. This guy has been injury prone his whole life. He was hurt in high school. The reason why when he played one season at Duke, he didn't even play the whole season. He's had multiple injuries at the NBA level as well. I just don't believe in the Kyrie Irving hype train. He's a great offensive talent. He's a really, really, really good player. He's a top 15 player in the NBA, so he's obviously really good. And if he's your second best player like he was in Cleveland, you can win a championship with him. But he plays next to no defense and is injury prone. So if I have a choice, I'll take Kawhi and Kemba Walker over Kawhi and Kyrie Irving any day. You know, that's what I think. Apologize for the sun glare. We're driving home here. It's 6:34 in the a.m. This video may get a little bit interesting. Sun glare on the ride home. So I'm doing my best here to try to keep this video watchable for you. But you can still hear me, so we got that going for us. Let's move this visor out of the way. So Klay Thompson, another guy who's going to be a big free agent. I think that he stays in Golden State despite the torn ACL. I think that they're going to just kind of stash him and keep him around. Kyrie Irving, we talked about him. Where's he going to go? I don't think he's coming to the Knicks. It's been a rumor, but I think he is going to the Nets. He's definitely not staying in Boston. I think he's going to end up in a Brooklyn uniform. Now, Kawhi Leonard, I told you already he's going to the Knicks, but There's also real rumors that he may go to the Clippers. That's an interesting one. He's from California, from that area. Maybe he goes back home. It's a definite possibility. But I don't think he's staying in Toronto. So that's my opinion on that one. There's a lot of other really nice names out there. Jimmy Butler. All right, so there's this new rumor on Jimmy Butler. Where's he going? The rumor is that they're going to do a sign-and trade from Philly because he's definitely not staying there. And they're going to try to trade him to Houston. Interesting. Very interesting. Personally, I don't want to be anywhere near James Harden and Chris Paul. They're just not clutch. And as talented as they are, I don't think they're winning anything anytime soon. But if you pair Jimmy Butler with those two guys, Jimmy Butler actually plays defense. He can give you 20 points whenever you need it. Then that's an interesting fit. And if you're only giving up guys like Eric Gordon, maybe Clint Capella, who's a nice player, but you'll give up to get Jimmy Butler, it's an interesting move. Sixers would do it because they'll get something in return opposed to nothing. Pretty simple. But are they going to do it? I don't know. It's just a rumor right now. So I apologize again for the sun glare. This is an interesting time to be driving, so we'll see how this goes with the podcast going forward. Again, I want you to join me on my commute home every single morning. I am Dave Ettinger. This is the Dave Talk Sports Podcast, episode number 2, and I am of CBS Sports Radio Network. Now, I told you we're going to talk a little bit about the Yankees. They're breaking records. They can't seem to lose. They've now hit a home run in 28 consecutive games, which is a Major League Baseball record. It was DJ LeMahieu hitting the home run, the first home run of the game. That was the record breaker. It was followed up by an Aaron Judge home run, them going back to back. You also had home runs by Gleyber Torres and Edwin Encarnacion, and they hung on and beat the Blue Jays again. So they can't seem to lose, and there's not much more to say. You got players that are playing well. That's really all it is for the Yankees. You have a loaded lineup, and everybody's playing well at the current moment. They still need a starting pitcher, a real one, okay? I talked about this yesterday, they need a Max Scherzer, they need a Madison Bumgarner. At the very least, they need a Marcus Stroman. But right now, they can't lose. They're beating the teams they're supposed to beat. You know, yesterday was one of this opener days. They had Chad Green as the listed starter, knowing that he's only going to go 1 or 2, at the very most 3 innings, and that's it. And Chad Green is starting to look like the Chad Green of old, where he was unhittable, throwing gas, striking guys out left and right. And you're having this pitcher who I mentioned yesterday, Nestor Cortes Jr. I like that name a lot. He's been on fire. I mean, you stretched him out 4 innings yesterday, and he ended up getting the win. But he's been really good. And again, the Cameron Maybin injury going down, you know, it's bad because he was playing really well, but it really freed up a spot kind of permanently and officially for Cortes Jr. So it's kind of, everything's working out. Everything's falling into place for the New York Yankees. As for the Mets, well, they lost again. What else is there to say? They just can't win baseball games. Their managers is still a joke. You had a moment, a scary moment in that game actually, where a Philly batter gets struck in the face, and Gabe Kapler went absolutely nuts, and I don't blame him. He ends up getting ejected from this game. I feel badly about that. He did go berserk, so I guess he has to be tossed. But one of his players had just gotten beamed right in the face. So it was a very scary moment. Luckily, everybody was okay. But the Mets drop another one. So, NBA free agency coming up in just 4 days. That legal tampering period where we're going to find out all the deals that are going down. June 30th, that's Sunday, at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Where's Kevin Durant going? Where's Kawhi Leonard going? Kyrie Irving, Kemba Walker, Jimmy Butler, and more. We're going to find out in just a couple days. I personally can't wait. And we'll see if the Yankees ever lose another baseball game ever again in the history of the world. We'll see. Maybe next year they'll go 162-0. All right, guys. Enjoyed the ride with you. I'm about halfway home, so I'm going to let you guys go. Hope you didn't mind the sun glare too much. But I'm Dave Ettinger, your host, right here on the Dave Talk Sports podcast of CBS Sports Radio Network. And I will catch you tomorrow. Enjoy your Wednesday, my friends. Take care.